educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast, where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
Thank you very much for tuning in today. We have a special guest, someone that I haven't had on the show as of yet. He is a dedicated dog trainer with a passion for empowering puppies, dogs, and their owners to achieve greater success and harmony at their home and around town. With years of hands-on experience, he's honed his skills in canine behavior, obedience, and emotional support. All of us can, use something like that, right? Most dog owners find themselves struggling to unlock their pet's full potential, often falling short of creating the well-behaved companion they envision. And a lot of times we take a look at this and hear this, right? We're wondering, like, Maurice, why are you talking to someone who trains dogs? Well, sometimes the dog can represent something else, right? So we'll make sure that we can pull this all together for you today. I bring none other to you than Brady Foulk. Brady, thank you very much for coming on today.
It is my pleasure to be here. I am excited. I want your audience to know, if you have a dog, great. We're going to go over some tips and tricks. If you don't have some dogs, right? Running a dog training business relates to communication, watching body language. There's so many different aspects of it that we can dive into all of it, especially being a business owner in itself too. But we'll keep it quick though. It'll take like 20, 25 minutes to go over this stuff. But I just want to say I'm excited to help your audience learn a little bit more about dogs and what I do and how I make money and maybe how they could or have a better dog.
So Brady, I appreciate it, man. So let me ask you this question, man. So how do you maintain balance and stay motivated while you're training a dog? Because sometimes, because we don't speak dog or, we're not sure about animals and their natural instincts kick in, whether or not they're scared, afraid, and things like that. How do you maintain balance and stay motivated when they seem like they could be off kilter sometimes?
That's a brilliant question for a lot of reasons, because there's a lot of things that come into place. I got to make sure I sleep well. I got to make sure that I'm nutritious and I'm like exercising and taking care of myself and my other needs. Also, it's about the story that I tell. So I want your whole audience to know before we even start this, that the average dog, Chihuahuas, Pomeranians, Border Collies, German Shepherds, all of them, the average dog can learn 165 words, right, on average. And there's some dogs who've learned 1,000.
Wow.
But I have a feeling your dog could probably learn like 30 to 40 more words, like quite easily. And I know that story. Some people think that their dogs can't learn or they're too old or they're too young. And there's this whole story going on. And so a way I maintain balance is I pay attention to the stories I tell myself, to what I focus on, the language that I use. I don't have to dog train. I don't even want to dog train. I get to dog train. It's a pretty cool way I get to spend a lot of my time is hanging out with dogs and building a mutual communication, because I can't talk to them. I'm not Dr. Dolittle, right? It's not how it works. But I can set up things. When I put out my hand, it means come touch your nose to my hand. And then I'll reward you for that. And I'll tell you good job, or maybe we'll play a game of tug, or I'll toss you a treat and say catch. And there's lots of different parts to it. So I really understand that I get to do this thing. So that helps me. I make sure that I'm vital and I'm like taking care of my needs, that I'm like drinking my celery juice and my protein shakes and all my good stuff, going on my runs. I'm training for a marathon this year. So that's like a whole separate thing of like doing the hard things or like cold plunges, all these things. We got to train this muscle in our brain to focus on what we want to focus on and keep moving forward. And plus, I just love what I do. Like, it just makes it all better. If you couldn't tell that already from all the things that I'm saying.
Right. So let me ask you this then. So how did you even find this space, something that you love, something that you find joy in? I was speaking to someone before about finding joy versus something that you just feel naturally good at, right? So how did you find this passion or discover this passion for dog training?
Yeah, there's my whole background because I grew up with dogs, and I was on another podcast and I shared how we lived in Temecula in California in the wine country, so we had 13 acres, and some
Mm.
dogs, rest in peace, they got eaten by coyotes because they were kind of just wild animals
Wow.
that would run around. Um, some dogs just ran away. Sometimes some dogs I would get the phone call from my mom once I got home from school, and I would start looking for them, and we'd catch them, right? We'd find
Mm.
them, but they were kind of just wild animals that
Mhm.
they, for the most part, didn't poop or pee inside the house when they were in there,
Okay.
but they kind of just did their own thing
Okay.
out in the backyard. And once I moved out of my home at 18, I got my own dog at I was like 23 years old or so.
Okay.
So a little bit older. And I decided that I wasn't going to have a dog like that. I wanted a dog who would come when called and like their crate. And like, I wasn't going to give this dog up. Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I saw it so much growing up, but I was like, all right, I'm going to do it different. All I thought I had to do though was just like let them sleep in my bed more. The dogs never slept in our beds, right? They
Mm.
always slept like in the garage or something or outside.
Mhm.
Let them sleep in the bed. Let them have the best treats, the best toys,
Mm.
and just give them lots of love. But ultimately, that didn't communicate to them not to
Hmm.
chew on the carpet or not to eat my shoes or my
Mhm.
Tim Ferriss Tools of Titans book or my dad's leather duffel bag I got him
Right.
for Father's Day. Right. I didn't communicate any of those things to him. So
Mhm. Mhm.
I learned very quickly that positive doesn't mean permissive.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
that doesn't mean you can just have free reign in the house. You got to work your way up.
Mhm.
I look at it through like kindergarten through
Hmm.
PhD, and taking our dog through a journey through going through
Mm.
these different grade levels. And from there, really, this is when I watched the Tim Ferriss podcast. There's a woman by the
Hmm.
name of Susan Garrett on there, and I highly recommend all of her stuff. She has her own podcast out, and she talked about playing games with her dogs, and I was like, that
Mm.
resonates with me. I played baseball, soccer, football. Like I love playing sports. So I'm like, this is why I got an
Right.
Australian Shepherd, is to run and do stuff with them. So we started learning how to play tug and
Mm.
chase and practicing coming when called and crate training and going in
Mhm.
and out of your crate super fast and all
Mhm.
these different games, right? And things got a lot better. But then there came a moment where we were tested again.
Mm.
And I remember my shirt was ripped. The police had shown up,
Mm.
and I had watched my roommate kick and punch my dog,
Oh, wow.
and it lit a fire inside of me, man. Like that's my kid,
Right. Right.
and I believe being a leader is more than just getting results.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
believe that there's three ways to lead. You can lead with
Mm.
fear, you can lead with bribes, and you can lead with growth.
Hmm.
I'll tell you what, all three work.
Mhm.
All come with consequences,
Yes.
though,
Yes.
and only one will give you the connection that you're craving. So I ask people sometimes just to remember the leaders that intimidated and bribed them, and
Mhm.
how did it make them feel?
Mhm.
Right. I'm sure we all can remember those types of people.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then now remember the people who inspire and reward you for growing and becoming more.
Mhm.
And I bet you can still see their faces or hear their voices and feel their impact on our lives today. So it's just a reminder to me of there's many ways to lead, all can work, but how do I
Mhm.
want to be remembered as a leader? Uh, it's when I get furious, I get curious now.
Really?
It's a blessing. Yeah.
So something that as I was doing my research on you, you have this space where you talk about chaos to harmony.
Yeah.
And so something that you're talking about, so you touch on like that seemed like a real chaotic moment. You like you said,
Yeah.
your shirt is ripped and your roommate situation, things like that. So now, how do you get from a place like that? Because sometimes when we start as entrepreneurs, everything seems chaotic. How do we get to a place that feel like it's harmony or, not necessarily 100% smooth sailing, but just a little easier to deal with? So how was that transition, or how did you come up with that type of idea or motivational speech from chaos to harmony?
Yeah. The kind of where it came from is SOPs, standard operating procedures. I got routines, and those help provide black and white for our dogs. And I found, I don't know if you ever remember playing monkey in the middle,
Yes.
where someone's throwing the ball. It's fun if you're on the outside. If you're on the inside, though, there's no rules. So
Right,
it's like,
right.
how do you get this ball back? Mostly someone ends up crying. I'm the oldest of 6, right? So I was on the outside. I was smart. But someone inside would end up getting upset and they would leave the game.
Right, right.
So we want people to know how to play the rules. And when people know how to play the rules, you can thrive, and you get feedback and you go, okay, this is where I need to work. This is how I need to improve. So having routines. So I know for a puppy or any dog, they need to sleep. I like them sleeping in their crate when they're a puppy. And as they get older, they can graduate to sleeping on a bed. And then they need to go to the bathroom. We'll do like a little mini training session after that. And then they get to chill and hang out as dogs for 30 minutes to an hour or so. And then we're going to repeat that process. You're going to go back to your bed. You're going to chill. I'm going to go work on my stuff, do a podcast, whatever I need to do. And then we're going to go out, go do potty. We're going to train. We're going to play. And just showing the dog that this is just kind of the loop that we go in. It gives them a ton of confidence. And the same thing for me and my business. There's a process that I take people through. So I take people through a 3-month, the 90-day process, because you need to condition these things until they stick. And so connect and appreciate your world. And then we're going to start getting leverage on our dog. And we're going to start showing them, when you do the things I want, you get the things that you want. And taking people through a process that I've done over and over again gives me certainty, because I know what it looks like on the back end, and I'm building towards something that I'm very confident in, and it's repeatable. So as a business owner, that's kind of what I'm looking to do in all areas, right? I tell the same stories every single time, right?
Right.
I do the same games every single time.
Okay.
I teach everything the same exact way. And I think if you watch people like Tony Robbins or Jim Rome and you go to their events, it's exactly the same every single time, because I studied jujitsu. Arm bars and triangle chokes and rear naked chokes are the best way to submit someone. They're the easiest things to learn. They're the first things to learn, but you practice them forever and ever and ever. And even as a black belt, there's 30 different variations that you can add to like this move that you learned on your first day of class. So it's doing the ordinary extraordinarily well.
Wow. So something that you're talking about, repetition, and mastering that. Sometimes we get distracted because, as you stated, hey, you have this one space that someone might be in, but then they get distracted by something they see on social media or an email or whatever it is. So how long would it have taken you to learn something like that, in training your dogs or even your martial arts piece or, whatever it might be? Because we just want to make sure that people stay focused. You get what I mean? So kind of give us an idea. How long did it take you to master something like that?
This is the brilliant part, because it comes back to what we first started talking about, the story. Right. I think I'm a student. I get to learn these things all the time, and I'm constantly growing, and mastering something is a lot like something is perfect. And I don't believe in perfection. I believe that's the lowest standard you can shoot for. If you're a perfectionist, you're doing things wrong, you failed, because there's nothing in life that's perfect.
Right. I agree.
I believe that you have to take the steps and appreciate the journey. And so if you can just fall in love with what you're doing, and you got the science of achievement, which is having procedures, and then you got the art of fulfillment, which is doing something that lights you up and it meets your values, and you feel like you're contributing to something bigger than yourself. You feel like you're growing each day, because if you're not growing, you're dying. And so you have to keep going along this path. So for me, I strive to be the best that I possibly can be. And yet I tell myself, I reach my hand up, like, good job, Brady. I'm proud of you. Because this world, man, everyone's not nice. It's not always loving and kind. It's not always fair. There's pain. There's all sorts of stuff in this world. So recognizing both sides of it, I think can allow you to appreciate, like, all right, if I'm not doing something I love, what is something that I love? And that's different for everyone. You can turn literally anything into a passion project. And I started off dog training as a hobby. I worked at In-N-Out, and I worked at Tiffany and Company and Apple. And then I worked for like this life insurance company. And then I was just doing dog training in between all these things. And then I got laid off from this company. And what I thought was like this terrible thing turned out to be a blessing, because I was already helping friends and family train their dogs. And I was like, okay, well, now I'm going to start charging people $25, right? See if anyone will pay me $25. Now I charge $150. And I run 3-month programs now, and I charge more for that because I know the process. I know what it takes. You need more than just one lesson. You need at least 8 lessons, at least 4 inside, at least 4 outside in public. And then I take your dog for 2 weeks and I train them. And then you need a group to share your wins. And then you need videos, and I have an online program too. So if you're just starting and you just want to see who I am, you can just join my online program in my inner circle, just to kind of have, not everyone has a space where you could talk about dogs. You know, it's kind of, not everyone wants to do that. But if you have a dog and you're training them, it's cool to be like, hey, I taught them how to roll over today. And like, oh, that's so cool. Anywho, I hope that answers your question.
So no, it does. It does answer my question. So, but in that process, right, how much patience do you have to have? Because sometimes we feel as though we need to master something, right? You know, and we can't. I think that's one of the things that we have this expectation of ourselves that we have to master it. We have to be the greatest at it. But no, part of it is understanding the journey, right? Which is something that you had mentioned, but then it also has to come with some sense of patience. I think that's one of the things that you're talking about as far as martial arts. That's something that they, that they talk about, right? And something as, again, like you say, you're not Dr. Doolittle, so you don't know really what the dog is saying. So that comes with a sense of patience. And then even just dealing with the owners, right? Because sometimes they want something to happen yesterday. Like, hey, I can't, I'm not a miracle worker, right? So how much patience do you have to have in order to get to the point that you're looking for, where you feel comfortable to move forward, to release the dog to the owner, to even, and translate that to someone that want their business, right? Because they see it, they think they want at this point, and they're rushing the situation. So how important is it for someone to have patience?
I believe that I am not a patient person. And I'll tell you why. I believe patience is you're just like waiting for something to happen, and you're just waiting for it to happen on its own. That's not what I'm doing at all. I am actively taking steps to get to places. And I understand that even for when I'm talking to clients, everyone has it. Everyone has a moment of like, can I trust? Do I know? Do I like this person? Right. And I understand that completely. I feel the same way, or at least I believe that like I love everyone and I'm just waiting to connect with people. But I understand not everyone feels that way. So I understand there's going to be a little bit of tension at first. And that's just part of the journey. That's just like one part of it. So patient in the sense that, like, I know this part is just one part, and then we're going to go to another part, and then another part. For dogs, I know when I first take them into my house, I have to meet them where they're at, because I just took them out of their owner's house. We typically had one appointment before where I teach them some stuff, and I see if I like the owner and like the dog, if I want to work with them. Right. Because that's important, who I work with too. Does this person actually want to put in the time and work? And then so I take this dog, and they're typically at like a beige stage. I call it beige, right? Beige means they want to feel very safe. They're all they're looking for is safety. And so I just give them a lot of safety. After beige comes purple, and they just want to feel part of a family. So they're seeing if like other people, they're part of the tribe, so they're getting fed with the other dogs, and they're outside playing, and we're going on walks together, especially that helps them bring them together. And after about the 3rd or 4th day, that's when they start showing me their real colors. Now I know they're into their red, which is power God, which is kind of like terrible twos. They go, I want it this way. Like, I've played by your rules for a couple of days. Now let me out.
Right.
I don't want to play this game. I want to jump on you. I want to like jump on the couch. I want to sleep in bed with you. And it's like, I want to do it this way. And I'm like, this is great. You've gone through They're going through the stages, right? Because right after red comes blue, and blue is rules.
Okay.
And we need rules to thrive in this world. There needs to be some sort of structure. And I start showing them how to get the things that they want. So if you want to come and play, you got to sit before. If you want to go out the front door for a walk, you got to sit before, right? Or if I ask you to, if there's food sitting in front of us and I ask you to come over here, you got to come over here. You don't get to just stick your nose in the food, you know? Right. So I start showing them grandma's rule is what I call it, is that you have to do what I say for you to get what you want. And I don't know if your grandma did this. My grandma did this in many ways, but 2 ways, where I had to eat all my vegetables before I got dessert, you know?
Yes.
And my room had to be clean before I could play with my friends.
Correct.
They would ask me, how are you going to play with your friends if your room is dirty? And I would start thinking, and I'd be like, shoot, that's the rule. My room has to be clean up with my friends. How am I going to do that? And they're not telling me to do it. They're just asking me a better question. So you start asking the dog, like, how are you going to eat this yummy treat? I cooked up hamburger patties or chicken for you or whatever it may be. How are you going to get this if you don't come do this thing first? Right. And so I normally can get a dog through there pretty quickly, right? And then after there, you become an achiever. And you just have a dog who just loves to play these games because they get the rules. They like to play within the rules. It's fair. They know what's coming. Sometimes they get jackpots. All these things kind of play into it. So when you say patience, I appreciate the journey for sure, because I know like each step is only going to last for so long.
Yes.
And if there's something that you're not connecting with your dog, it typically means you need to take a step back. You're trying to give them an eighth grade math problem when they need a fifth grade math problem. And for you and me, right, that's a big difference. Like this difference between like long division and algebra versus like multiplication. So it's being understanding of this journey and where you're at. And then, yeah, you can not just have patience, but you can appreciate the journey, because you're like, oh, this is only going to be here for so long before it's another problem, because we all have problems. If you don't have problems, you're dead. Right? Problems are actually a sign of life.
Right. Cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. So let me ask you this, Brady. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. So how can someone get in contact with you so they can take their dog, and figure out their story and their journey with their dog? So how can they contact you and so they can figure out this for themselves?
Yeah, if you want to help your dog in whatever ways, I help make a personalized plan for you. You can follow me on Instagram. That's the fastest way to kind of know, like, and trust me. It's ND Dog Training. You can send me a DM that says I'm ready, and I'll send you a little PDF that'll help get you focused on where you want to go. And then from there, I'm working on creating a program for people who want to become dog trainers, right? And taking them from where I started 6 years ago now to where I'm at now. There's a lot of things that I learned, from building a website to Facebook ads to using ChatGPT and other AI tools. So if you want to jump on that part of the journey too, message me, Dog Trainer, on Instagram, and I'll get you another PDF for that. Okay.
Cool, Brady. I appreciate you for coming on today. But before I let you go, I'm going to ask you my question I ask everybody. My would you rather question. Would you rather choose 3 doors or a fork in the road?
3 doors.
And why 3 doors? That was quick. Most people don't answer that quick. Why 3 doors?
The first thing that popped in my head was the movie 21, and they got that goat problem with the 3 doors, and that was a cool movie for me. So I was like, all right, I'm taking the thing that feels good. Okay.
That's funny.
And then if you ask me to pick a door, I'll pick a door, and then I'll switch it too.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get no rules. I didn't get no parameters. I just asked. You get what I mean? Do
I get a car?
We'll see. Well, Brady, I thank you very much for coming on today.
Of course.
Cool. Thank you very much
for having me.
Sure, no problem. And thank you for listening to That Will Never Work podcast.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at Chisholm Group LLC and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work, or will it?